So last week I tweeted that BTT was going on a top secret location shoot, and I can finally reveal our destination. We were invited to go behind the scenes at Blue Sky Studios, the animation house behind the Ice Age franchise, Rio and next summer's Rio 2, as well as Epic, which, what do you know, has just come out on DVD and Blu-ray. So we took a shuttle up to their headquarters in Greenwich, Connecticut to learn about story development, sculpting, rigging, and character animation. And now you too can take that tour, right now.
As Chris has told you already, what we do is we kind of do a dry run of the entire film, more or less through drawings. We get a baseball-sized crew, and we bang this thing out in a rough draft as fast as possible. And a lot of the times we spend covering what the movie isn't rather than what it actually is, you know?
Just to make sure.
Yeah, we just you know, root around. Is that it? No? Okay. Is this it? No? Then what do you want? I don't know. That's not it. Okay, so we start over again. There are some arcs that accidentally spark while you're drawing, you know, and pitching and stuff. There are things about the characters that start coming to light that you could, you know, use or not use. So because our job is, like he was saying, is to lay the groundwork for a solid performance and really give the animator something to sink their teeth into. And I gotta admit, as a story, for me anyway, it kind of feels like the snake eating its own tail when I see it completed as a film, because I had imagined that film, tried to record it, and then it showed up.
Sometimes she'll start with a design, she'll get a design. That might have been painted after your thing. Was that before?
No, that was before. You can kind of see his head and neck is still really thick.
But once you get into 3D, and I'll just give it to you from my perspective, you realize, oh, we were cheating in 2D. We can't really do that, or it will never look right from this angle and this angle together. So Vicky's got to do a lot of problem solving.
This is a little desktop scanner, a little laser scanner. So we'll use this to scan it in the computer, and this is what it comes out like. And we also use ZBrush, which is this program here, to do expressions. We used to do them in clay, but with ZBrush you can start with the same base head and move through the expressions. So you can see here, waking up. And it's just about moving the material around. And so the reason for the expressions is so for the rigging department and animation, find the range of expression, but also they might realize that his eyes need to be farther forward, or he might need more mass in the back of his head, or things like that.
What we do is we put the anatomy in the characters. So if you think of like a really simple example, like Puppet on Strings, you know, at the beginning somebody sculpted the head and somebody sculpted the limbs, but they're all separate and it's not moving at all. So what we do is we basically connect everything up, put the joints in and the strings, so that the animator basically can go in and pull the strings and make them move. Just so you can see what the animator basically sees. He basically sees those controls, or, you know, basically the strings, and we provide certain automated behaviors. Like, for example, when you pull this up, you can see he gets a smile, and all of this, you know, that the cheeks bulging a little bit, or that when you go down, you know, that his little, you know, chubby little rolls, that they compress and move. This is all what we set up so that, you know, the animator has to pull this and has to make the poses, but can concentrate on the poses and on the motion of this character, but doesn't have to, you know, care that, okay, when this goes up, I have to bulge this. This is things that we automate at the beginning.
Well, I'll show you a layout file first. As we were talking about a little bit earlier, what we get in animation is we get the line of dialogue, which has already been recorded for us. We get the layout file, which looks like something like this.
The frequencies that draw bats to gather with their own kind. So I slowed the sounds down and I put them through some proprietary filters.
So as you can see, the action in this shot is blocked out very broadly and very loosely. So Chris has already decided what he wants to happen in the shot and roughly where the characters are going to be positioned, and edited all of these things together so that it makes sense for the sequence. So along with the dialogue and a layout file, we will have a kickoff with Chris, where he'll tell us exactly what he wants to see in the shot in terms of the performance of the character, and we'll talk about some of the acting beats in particular that you might want to see, as well as, you know, the sort of general attitude of the character, at this moment in their arc in the movie. So once we have that information, we will go into one of the acting rooms that we have here in the animation department. It's basically a small room with some cameras, and there's mirrors on the walls and stuff like that, so we can see, get from every angle what we're doing. This is one of our animators, Patrick, who, and this is some of the video reference that he shot for this shot.
The frequencies that draw bats to gather with their own kind. So I slowed the sounds down and I put them through some proprietary filters, and guess what I heard?
Okay, so what we're getting out of this, there's two big advantages to using this kind of video reference. First of all, it's very quick to shoot this. It's very quick to shoot multiple versions of this, and we can get this in front of Chris very quickly, and he can say, that's not quite the right tone for this shot, that's not quite the right tone for the character, or, that's brilliant, go ahead and start to block that out, put it on the character in the computer. So Patrick may have filmed this himself, doing this 100 times or more before he got it exactly as he wanted it to be.
100?
Yeah.
Did he?
Definitely possible. I would think so, yeah. I would think so. We've worked very hard for you.
Oh no, and it shows.
Sure.
But 100?
Yeah, I think at least 100, and that's on the low side. I think Jeff spends days sometimes in the
I know.
acting.
I know, that's true.
Yeah, and it shows,
Yeah.
So here's the final shot, lit and rendered, and you'll see what Patrick was able to take from his video reference.
The frequencies that draw bats to gather with their own kind. So I slowed the sounds down and I put them through some proprietary filters, and guess what I heard?
You said you do things because you know what's appealing visually. Do you have like a checklist if you know that things the audience is sparked to?
Yeah, I have a whole bunch of checklists. Actually, literally right here. There's sort of animation principles that go back to sort of early Disney 2D films, things that those guys developed, or sort of that I wouldn't call them rules so much as sort of guidelines and principles, and you can literally sort of go through almost like an aesthetic checklist, making sure that you're exaggerating your poses, they have a strong line of action, that you have squash and stretch in your animation, and there's sort of 12 main principles of animation that even now, after animating for 7 years, still go back to the basics and make sure your animation is working on those levels.
So you have such a large production facility here and so many people working on a film. How does that change the director role, the role of the director?
Makes it much easier.
Yeah?
Yeah, you get a lot
Instead
of
of
people.
autopilot?
Yeah. No, you have a lot of people that you have a lot of help. Our movies are gigantic collaborations, so you may have an idea, but you need all of your friends to help realize it and put it on the screen. So, you feel a little bit like a conductor, maybe. I mean, that's the best possible version of it, where everybody's kind of playing the same tune. It feels like you have a tremendous amount of support. And, we have over 500 talented artists here that, contribute everything they can. So what you see on the screen when the movie's done is it's bigger than any one person. It's bigger than the people that made it.
We saw just how many people today, we got an idea of how many people work on animated film. And Chris was talking about how it's really a group product. Can you tell me a little bit how it feels about ownership towards the film, like yourself? Like how do you feel like you're a part of that?
Well, I think that, being in the design process, you are in there kind of early on. But it's always interesting that you start off with an idea and you say, well, this is what I got, and you hand it off to someone and they just keep plussing it every time it goes through another department, and it sort of becomes, at some point you say, that's so much cooler than anything I could have done on my own, and it's taken this big leap forward in terms of just the complexity and the realness of it. It's just really an amazing thing, and so the idea of ownership, a lot of times, sure, sometimes you wish things could be this way or that way, but at the end you just look and you say, that's just amazing, and you're thrilled to be a part of it at all.
Well, you get to, at the end of the day when the movie's out, you get to say I worked with that guy or that girl, or, and so it's you own the journey to some extent. Again, like we do start pretty early, and we get to own certain parts. I got to design certain characters, develop the color script and the ideas for some of how the color played throughout the film. But everybody does take it and run with it, and with guidance. But still, like basically, our job is to inspire the people that are going to work on things after us.
I like that.
And so I have the luxury as art director to work directly with those artists down the line and help nudge them in the right direction, make sure, because you've got 500 people all heading to this finish line, you got to make sure they're all headed in the right direction. And so it's just kind of keeping everybody focused without hindering their creative abilities and instincts.